Hey guys, and welcome back to Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Kraven is done, so it's time to move on and face the first of the Noir villains, Hammerhead.
I do kind of like that after you beat the first Amazing Spider-Man level, you get to pick which of the next three Spider-Man that you want to play as first.
This is actually what happens in the other acts as well. There's like 3 acts in the game. And it's only for Act 1 where you have to do Kraven first, but as Lewis said, you get a choice, which is pretty nice. But I'm very OCD, so we're going to be doing it in order. That's just the way I like it, and it's my playthrough, so my rules and such go.
I mean, the thing is that I think it would be very unfair if they just said, play any of these levels straight from the off. Like, it's nice to have just a single normal level to get you used to how everything works in the game's context, rather than just a tutorial version.
Yeah. Hammerhead here, he didn't originate in the comics, I don't believe. He was created specifically for Shatty Dims, and he is voiced by John DiMaggio, who also voices Hammerhead in Spectacular Spider-Man.
Ah.
Well, you just know this guy is Noir as fuck. He's got 2 Tommy guns.
Not just one, he needs one for each hand.
You never see Tommy guns in anything but Noir stuff.
You probably already noticed this, and by you I mean the audience watching this video. There's 2 types of CG in this game, not unlike how it played out in Sonic 06. There's the proper CGI trailers, which really only come in like the beginning of the game, in between acts and the end. And then you have these, which kick off each level, which are more like motion comics than anything else, really.
I mean, I suppose you could say that the closest comparison would be the different types of cutscenes in Bayonetta. Of course, I'd go to that game.
Of course, yeah.
So, in that game, you have the kind of full action cutscenes, and then you have what they dubbed the simple cutscenes, which is kind of just the characters in stock images as it kind of stuff happens. I guess as a way, it's partially to save, but well, it's entirely to save budget, because you don't have to animate as much. But I mean, I think it works.
It looks appropriate for a comic book styled game.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
I guess we'll kick off this particular level on a rather grim and noirish note. I did have some trivia for Kraven last time, but I'm going to bring it up now. In Spider-Man Noir, and these are spoilers, so skip like a minute ahead if you don't want to be spoiled, Kraven is depicted as a former animal trainer in a circus that was taken by Norman Osborn, a mob boss known as the Goblin, as one of his hitmen and collectors. And I'm reading straight from the wiki here, so if there's any like typos or it sounds weird, blame them. He was killed when a mass of man-eating spiders covered his body and started eating him. His final act was to kill Osborn when his mangled, spider-ridden corpse lands on him, thus spreading the mini man-eaters. Spider-Man Noir, everyone.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh man, you could have launched 7 semi-trucks into the silence that followed that description.
I've just sat here in kind of stunned silence with my jaw just kind of like on the floor.
The red popping out against the black and the white and the yellow tints, it's gorgeous, darling.
Always do like it when anything does that type of colour work, because it's always so effective. I mean, I really do need to see, I think it's Schindler's List, but that has, I think it's the little girl in the red coat scene, which I think is apparently one of like the most affecting things in cinema.
So Helldragon, what's your take on Spider-Man Noir? Do you think Christopher Daniel Barnes was a fit for him? Because I'll say this now, I loved him as Peter Parker, and obviously Spidey in the 90s cartoon, but I think he gets a bit more free range here, because the Spidey in the 90s cartoon was always a bit more aggressive than like his other counterparts, so I think he's actually more suited to being Spider-Man Noir.
Well, yeah, it varies. Like, Noir is a very gritty kind of guy, and I'm too used to Christopher Daniel Barnes. He was more aggressive in the cartoon, yeah, definitely, but he seemed a bit more jovial. I just wanted to say, it's kind of odd to hear him as Noir, but I think it sort of fits better than when he was, 2099 in, Edge of Time. I think, certainly for what it is, and considering this is probably the first time Noir has had a voice, I think he does a good enough job. Like, he definitely has that menace to him, but I'm just way too distracted by the other Spider-Man roles he used to have, personally.
What about you, Lewis? How do you feel?
Well, to be honest, I hadn't watched the 90s cartoon in years before this, so I didn't realize it was the same guy. He's not as distinctive a voice in my mind as, say, Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Okay.
So I didn't recognize him. So for a while, I was laboring under the delusion that this was an original voice specifically for Spider-Man Noir, and it seemed to fit from that context. So why not?
You mean you don't recognise Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid?
I was just about to bring that up.
I was waiting to bust that one out.
Fun fact, Christopher Daniel Barnes is also the voice of Prince Charming in the Cinderella sequels.
Oh, there we go, man. He is fucking prolific when it comes to Disney.
Disney pays that sweet cash.
Oh, yeah.
I would say Suzanne Blakesley's probably more prolific in taking over roles of other characters.
Don't pretend you didn't notice that.
I'm sorry, what just happened?
A glitch, which is why I'm really glad I was able to get a good take this time around.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Shatty Dims is not a perfectly programmed type of game. Granted, it is on a number of different platforms, but, it suffers from the typical action problem. Sorry about getting in your way there, Mr. Hostage. To go home to see your family, I guess. Don't mind me, I'm just going to stand directly above the big bad.
I like how in these games, the enemies are specifically programmed not to see you if you happen to zip past them on a grapple line or something, because they don't want you to accidentally get discovered just because you happened to grapple at a bad angle.
These aren't going to be perfect stealth runs. I have tried my absolute damnedest to make sure I get a pretty fluid run, and honestly, I started playing the levels so much. Like I said last time, I got really OCD with Shattered Dimensions. At the time of recording, I haven't even been able to do Act 3 yet. But I did them so much, I actually ended up enjoying the Noir levels a lot. And I would actually say, it may not be my favourite, but I would say it's probably my second favourite style in the game. And I would probably say Ultimate is my favourite.
Naturally.
I think it really works well in Shattered Dimensions because by the time you get to a Noir level, you're usually picking it when you're a little tired of fighting. So it always comes out as feeling like a breath of fresh air compared to the other three. And I think the game really needed that, and the lack of Noir might just be one of the major drawbacks of Edge of Time.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, because the type of brawler that it is that very standard action type game.
Yeah.
So the combat is very repetitive. So you really do need something to break up the flow every now and again. Otherwise, you're just pressing X for the 60 gazillionth time.
Spider-Man? I think you mean Vanilla Man.
Oh, you have been fucking burned.
If only I knew how to do a proper snort laugh, I would have been able to, actually get the joke that I wanted.
Hey, I am the nasally one in this commentary group, thank you very much, and I will thank you not to steal my bit. But yeah, as we mentioned last time, Beanox must have been taking, cues from Arkham Asylum, because all about stealth, there are, little, set pieces here and there where you will be forced to fight a group of guys, but it's in your best interest to stay in the shadows and learn the environments. I would liken them to arcade-like playgrounds at the end of the day, and I just love going through and getting as clean a run as possible. And yes, sometimes I'll get discovered, but there always seems to be an out, an area where you can go to get a breather. And it doesn't really feel too punishing unless you're really, really bad at stealth. So Helldragon, I honestly wouldn't blame you for having a bad time with these. And you, by your own admission, said you weren't very good at stealth, so I'm not just insulting you out of nowhere or anything. But I feel it eases the player in, and especially since it's the most standout, I should say, of the gameplay styles, it really needed to be as easy to play or easy to get into as possible, I think.
Yeah, I can see where they're going with that, yeah.
You say Arkham Asylum cues, though. Beanox also worked on the Amazing Spider-Man movie games. So, Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I remember, I think, watching, it was either a stream or a review of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I was like, that's detective mode. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, the thing is that they certainly had time to just ape detective mode, because Arkham Asylum came out, I think it's August 2009-ish. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions.
Finally, a crossover with Splatoon!
And that came out September 2010.
Uh-huh.
So it's about a full year. And considering I suspect that this game was developed rather quickly, and I would have thought that seeing as Noir has the most off-the-wall type of gameplay, they had more than enough time to just say, yeah, let's just take detective mode and just shove it in.
The thing is, you know, everyone was already saying that Batman's counterattack symbol was the spider sense as it was. So it kind of makes sense for Spider-Man to have that, at least.
I don't know, I just found the Noir sections really fun. And it's weird because I remember, maybe not hating them, but liking Noir the least of the Spider-Men when I first played Shy Dims. I guess a lot can change in about like 4 to 5 years. There will be a lot of these types of like waiting around sort of bits, so I hope we have a few things to talk about, my fellow commentators.
You know, for being stealthy, he sure makes a ton of fucking noise whenever he takes somebody down.
I was going to say, bang, bang, bang. What was that noise?
That was the sound of your best friend having his face slammed into a metal floor. And you're next.
Oh, jeez. You joke, Lewis, but Spider-Man when he's pissed off is scary as fuck.
So he's basically like the Doctor in that sense, then.
Yep, pretty much. That was Rich's way of trying to get into the conversation and understand it, you see.
Well, Spider-Man doesn't just stick to walls, he also has superhuman strength, so when a guy like that gets pissed off, they're going to hurt you.
Yeah, what is it? It's like strength proportionate to a spider of human size or something?
Yeah, even though that's not how spiders work. Ah, man, the science of comics makes no fucking sense.
Well, Spider-Man sounds a lot better than Swole Bugman, you know?
It's still one of the most amusing things to me in the Sam Raimi trilogy, the first one, when Spider-Man gets his powers and he realizes he's bulked up overnight and he just spends a little while flexing in front of the mirror. And it looks so unfitting for him.
Buff
like,
Tobey Maguire is not something I thought I'd ever be able to put on my resume of things seen in movies, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, that is one train yard successfully bereft of mooks. Let's have a little shufty for some spider emblems and then we can move on.
So, quick question, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
How many of the challenges have you tried to complete so far? Have you tried to complete as many as humanly possible, or is it just being kind of, we'll just see how it goes?
A mix, I would say. There was eventually a point where I had to complete a set number, because as you can see there, we will be unlocking different suits, and I wasn't able to, like, show off any in Act 1, but come Act 2 and Act 3, and I guess the final boss, you will be seeing extra costumes. Unfortunately, I won't be able to show off all of them, because I think, like, Captain Universe or whatever the name of, like, the suit or the character is called, like, Spider-Man gets, like, cosmic powers at one point, and there's one for each different Spider-Man. That was, like, DLC or something.
Yeah. Cursed DLC.
Also, for Ultimate Spider-Man, there is, like, a Mangaverse skin, and for the final suits, which require, like, about 80 challenges or whatever, it's a very high number, there is a code for every single one of those if you're struggling, except Mangaverse for the 360 version.
Oh, that's just mean.
Yeah, don't really make a lick of sense. Alright, mini-boss time, and as you'd expect, it relies heavily on stealth. Avoid the spotlights, get behind Hammerhead, and then you'll be able to take him down with a prompt.
So is this part of the train yard? I mean, who's smuggling Gatling guns along the train? Thomas the Tank Engine? Has he been packing heat this whole time?
I want to see Grim Noir Thomas the Tank Engine. He's just black with, like, glowing white eyes.
Ugh, frickin' searchlights, am I right?
Seriously.
You gotta crawl around in weird, complicated ways to avoid these things and get behind Hammerhead.
It's a little bit fiddly. I think I prefer the actual, like, tablet-powered version of the Hammerhead fight. But, if nothing else is going to teach you about, like, placement and the importance of staying in the dark, this boss fight will do it for you.
Fortunately, it's not too hard to get back out of sight once you've been spotted, so... Ow!
Nope, fuck it.
Ah, that was just mean.
Yeah, of all the things you've called mean over the years, Reggie, that one was a prime example. And that's it, really. Every time you do, like, a prompted attack on him, that will do a ton of damage. It's not going to be, like, kind of a beatdown kind of fight. That's just not really who Noir is, for the most part.
Spider-Man, why did you let go of him once you had him? Why do we have to do this 2 more times? That should have been a one-hit KO.
Well, you know Hammerhead, true to his name, his head hits like a hammer, so you don't want to be taking one of those to your noggin.
So hit his head with a hammer.
No, Lewis, not like that. You got it. Whatever, it don't matter.
The logic is there of, like, just hang him up. Like, you've got your hands on him, just kind of wrap him up in webbing, and then you can do whatever the hell you like.
The thing with Hammerhead is, and I'm basing this entirely off memory, is like his skull is like an inch or two thicker than like normal, and I believe he also has like an iron plate in there. So if he headbutts you, it's pretty much gonna hurt. Well, I mean, it would hurt anyway, but this time you're getting knocked the fuck out.
Yeah... I still would have hung him from the ceiling with web.
Okay, you know what? I think we found Spider-Man Noir. He's angry, he likes to hurt people. Lewis, you are Spider-Man Noir. Hang them all and let Spider-Man sort them out.
I'm gonna put you in a wooden kimono.
Yeah, you've been doing a real good job with that there, Hammerhead.
What did he say? A wooden...
Kimono.
No more.
What?
Don't try and work it out, it's fucking Noir talk.
Had enough, huh? Now hand over that rock.
Ow.
Ow.
Sucker.
Oh, cheap shot.
And choosing not to finish him off, he runs away, like a maroon.
Oh dear, these comic book villains, it's just like, seriously, you have the perfect opportunity to kill the guy that you want to defeat. Why waste it?
They've been watching way too much goddamn James Bond.
Which is impressive, seeing as I don't think television even exists at this point in the Noir universe. Fancy Dan is, I believe, one of the enforcers. That I remember from Spectacular Spider-Man.
So can you do double web takedowns here?
I'm not sure if you can do double, if you can definitely do one at a time and pray to God that the radar doesn't go off.
Because I know you can do doubles in The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, they really went all out on ripping off Arkham Asylum in that one.
Sorry, I said radar, I meant alarm. Getting my words mixed up here. Actually kind of weird how there isn't like a mini kind of map or radar, so you really have to pay attention to the environment.
Well, I mean, I suppose having, like, a mini-map would go against the not-so-high-techiness of Spider-Man.
I guess, but that is really, like, I'm not even sure of the word for it, but it's basically taking gameplay conventions to their extreme.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that... I mean, I can understand why they didn't include it because these levels are very linear.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, you've just got to keep looking in front of you as to where the enemies are. And they've got the little indicators to direct you to where they are, so you shouldn't need a map.
You say that, but I actually kind of get lost in this little area here.
Yeah, but you know, the other thing is that even Metal Gear Solid 4, which could logically have just brought back its Soliton radar after 3, even Metal Gear Solid 4 eventually, you know, just didn't use a full-on radar because, you know, after a while, you get too used to having that Soliton radar type thing. You stop looking at the game, and you keep your eye on the radar the entire time.
So I'm just like Peter here, just bopping about not knowing what to do.
No, They give you a radar in Spider-Man Noir, but it's a paper map and it keeps updating over time.
Man, you were working on that one. This is a pretty intense sequence. They've got hostages. I'm not sure if they can kill them, but there will be a lot of guys patrolling, like, where the hostages are being held. So, plan ahead of time. Don't feel bad if you need to retreat. Just take it as it comes.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I would hope that they would kill the hostages, as horrible as that sounds, if only because, in the context of the game, like, getting spotted, surely they would attack. So it means that you've got to avoid getting attacked. I mean, it's basically like in Rising. Pretty much, if you get spotted by any of the enemies there, then the hostages are killed immediately.
Man, I hated the stuff in Rising. I thought it went against, like, the whole point of the game.
Yeah, it was easily the weakest bit of the game.
You and me, Richie, we gotta get, like, Brit and do a playthrough of Rising at some point.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can't leave you out of another Platinum Games playthrough.
No, you cannot.
Okay, that's one hostage down. Okay, I think I recognise that voice, but I can't put a name to it. I think it's the voice of Ratchet?
I'd have to hear it again.
James Arnold Taylor, there we go. You start to hear, like, a lot of the NPCs, that they have, like, the same voices over and over, and it becomes kind of jarring. It's like, save me, Spider-Man. It's like, okay, Ratchet, calm it down.
Oh man, you know, the biggest case of that in gaming that I know of is still in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, where everyone is frickin' Michael Bell. It's one of the most distinctive voices I know, too, because I always associate it with Raziel from the Legacy of Kain games.
That was really weird, because I was nowhere near him, and yet somehow he detected me. That just sometimes happens.
Also, okay, it doesn't seem like he's going to attack the hostage, so that's a bit pointless to say, yes, don't get spotted, otherwise we will kill the hostages.
He didn't say don't get spotted, otherwise we'll kill the hostages. He said don't get spotted, otherwise we'll kill you. And then I was like,
Okay,
yeah, I thought that was what we were doing the whole time.
Yep, that's the point of stealth. Alright, 2 down.
Hold on, I gotta get a spider emblem. I know your life's in danger, but I really need those points. I am Noir, after all. It's very important.
I am the knight.
Yeah, I guess he is kind of the knight.
Sorry, I'm copyrighted. I am 5 minutes to 5 in the morning.
I will say I like Spider-Man Noir's design.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like compared to the other Spider-Man, this is the one of the 4 that looks the most like a pure vigilante, which fits the setting and the grittiness of it. It kind of has a darker version of the same effect that the new Batgirl and Spider-Woman costumes have, where it looks like something they just put together in their bedroom.
I'm really not a fan of those costumes, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not saying, like, Spider-Woman's one was good before, but it just seems a little bit too, like, yeah, I'm just gonna pop on my coat and go, like, fight crime.
I don't know, like, a good realistic kind of costume, I think, when done right, has an interesting kind of design style that looks appealing in its own way. Like, I tend to prefer those a lot. Like, you know, like a cool jacket that's stylized, you know, pants, things like that. Those tend to work out pretty well for me, I think. And every time whenever I play a superhero in a tabletop game, I'm always giving him those kind of costumes, to be honest with you.
I just like the goggles, and I want to call it like an aviator's jacket, but I'm not sure if that's like the right type of jacket.
Close enough. Although I have to say, I'm pretty sure that the sort of homemade outfit thing is what they're going with in Civil War. Or at least that's what the rumours are anyway.
I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one.
We will indeed, and hopefully Marvel do the right thing and don't show Spider-Man in any of the marketing material and just leave it as a surprise.
They fucking will, you know that. I just hope they don't focus too much on the Superhero Registration Act, if at all, because that was flawed, like I said earlier.
We already have a universe where the X-Men are a thing. Do we really need a superhero registration thing as well?
This is Marvel we're talking about.
We've got a bit more time here while we're rescuing hostages, so as a brief aside, it's still Marvel, even if it is run by Fox these days. But Lewis, what did you feel about Days of Future Past, just quickly?
Days of Future Past is not a movie I've watched yet.
I actually think Days of Future Past is quite good.
Well, thank you for your opinion, Richie, but I was asking Lewis in this point in time.
The farthest I've gotten into the whole X-Men movies thing is the Wolverine movie, which was okay.
Okay. Alright, Richie, back to you. I'm really sorry, mate. That was very rude of me.
It's okay, I was just popping in because I actually have seen Days of Future Past. And it is actually very good,
I
and
enjoyed it a lot,
does
yeah.
the one thing that it needed to do in completely getting rid of The Last Stand from the timeline.
Oh, fuck The Last Stand. That is one of my most disappointing cinema memories, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, considering that the first X-Men was decent and quite fun, the second X-Men was actually fantastic, the third one was just bloated and just meh.
The third one sort of felt like a fan fiction writer going crazy with the story and just, putting every edgy thing that they could think of into the script.
Also, here's this character. Here's this character. Did you like that cameo? Well, here's another one.
Pretty much.
That's basically fan fiction.
Yeah, so Days of Future Past does a decent job of getting rid of that and just providing a really enjoyable experience. And it's really, really cool to see Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen back as Professor X and Magneto after so many years, and having them on screen at the same time as James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender.
This was deliberate, by the way. I'm luring them away from where the hostage is.
It's a good technique.
It would be a smart idea, well, if in the real world they wouldn't just go back and kill the hostage. But, one question about Days of Future Past, when you say it gets rid of The Last Stand, does it just ignore it, or is it a retcon, sort of in-universe thing?
It's an in-universe retcon, essentially.
Okay. That's good.
Complete spoilers, but basically, because you've got all the time travel, because of what they do in the past, they reset the future. So, everything that kind of happens, like Cyclops dying and Jean dying, none of that happens, but somehow they will get to the point where you have the old cast being the X-Men rather than the new cast who are the older versions. Because that makes sense.
Okay, let's get off the X-Men and get back to the slightly less confusing Spider-Man mythos.
You want this tough guy?
So, is this gonna make his gun super powered? Because I can't really see what else Hammerhead could do besides be more Hammerhead.
You know what's funny? I was kind of joking about assigning Spider-Man to each person, like, in this commentary, but every time you've spoken in this part, I think it's been a quip of some kind. So you really are amazing, Spidey.
I stick with what I'm good at.
I'm not a fan of this section, because there's, like, trains coming at you, and you've got to, like, fight bad guys, which, as I've mentioned, is not really, like, Noir's strong suit for the most part.
Well, I mean, I have to say, this seems like it goes against everything that the Noir section of the game stands for, because it puts you in the light, it makes you fight, and he's not really built for that, is he? Because he's weaker than the other Spider-Man, and he's just not built for this sort of stuff.
Well, done correctly, that sort of jarring shift can be a good moment.
Yeah.
Like it can make you feel tense, but I would not classify this as done correctly.
No.
Like there are times in like say Metal Gear Solid where you're forced to fight and it works because of that tension, but at the same time, this sort of feels like it's trying to make the fight the point of the game rather than a counterpoint.
Also, I like the fact that we're expected to believe that the people who are in the path of an oncoming train aren't being flattened, especially in the Noir universe. Madam Web's like, oh yes, I just teleported them out of the way.
Man, this guy is suspiciously sized. It's almost as if it was the Kraven enemy given a new skin.
No, they clearly wouldn't be that lazy.
And 616 always gotta be fucking sarky about everything.
Hell, Dragon, you broke the illusion.
No, that's Mysteria's job, I'm sorry.
My immersion is ruined.
Yes. This is a pretty cool shot, I'm not gonna lie.
Nice.
Sadly, at the exact same moment he activated the tablet, I switched on fucking detective mode, so it kind of ruined it. Let it never be said that my timing isn't impeccable.
This rock.
He fused with his guns.
Get rid of you. Then I'll get rid of Osborn.
Frankenstein's packing.
Yeah, he really does look like Frankenstein's monster in this one, Helldragon, you fucking pleb.
No, the creature, to be exact.
Oh shit. One burn after another. Okay. The trick to this boss fight is you'll get like torn to shreds if you try and take him head on, and it won't really do you any good, even if you manage to get out of the way of the boys. So you've got to take like anything in the arena that you can throw it at him, and then trick him into like attacking these steam generators or whatever they are, the engines.
Hey, big shot. Shut up.
So essentially it works kind of like they would go on to do with the Mr. Freeze battle in Batman Arkham City.
Kind of, but not nearly as good.
That is a really good fight, actually. Really tense. Like, I love how you're forced to do different stealth takedowns each time, so it doesn't get repetitive.
Yeah, it really tests your knowledge of what you can do during a stealth section as well. Of course, it helps that the boss battle takes place in an area that you used for a regular stealth section earlier, so you also have possibly an idea of what you can do in that specific section before you start as well.
Yeah. I wouldn't be too close to these things when they explode. I think they do damage you. Oh, come on, you just ran over to me that time.
You'd better not hit me from behind, Spider-Man.
Oh, darn, the iron plate is only really in the front of my head. Why didn't I think this through?
Well, it would impact his brain.
Should just become like Destro, or whatever his name was from G.I. Joe. Just cover the whole head in fucking metal.
I always wondered if that really was metal. Like, how did his mouth fucking move? Could he breathe? Was it like a robot head? What was going on? They turned Cobra Commander into a Cobra. I suppose anything's possible.
It's G.I. Joe. Let's not question it. I'm pretty sure they've crossed over with Transformers in the IDW continuity at some point.
They have.
Gosh, where is he? If only there was a way of testing where someone is. Maybe with bullets?
We done yet?
Like, you'd think he'd feel the webs and then instinctively, like, shoot up. But no, I guess not.
Well, his guns being attached to his arms like that, it seems like an improvement, but when you think about how that would affect body movement, it's really just limiting.
Yeah. Oh, it's a bull charging kind of section.
Oh, he does have the Hammerhead.
Here's a really frickin' important question. How does he reload?
I'm guessing the tablet means that he doesn't need to.
Ah, magic bullets, Devil May Cry syndrome. Okay.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna use this, like, magical artifact to give myself, like, gun arms, but I need to reload them. I have a finite amount of ammo. Good stuff.
I want to see how this guy just like boxing with his gun arms. That should be interesting.
No, you can't take weapons into the ring. That's illegal.
No, he takes nanomachines, son.
Oh my god,
There
you're
you go.
right.
He does, he does look like Armstrong.
A little bit, yeah. Right, get the fuck out. Nice job with that boss fight, Lewis. I think you really nailed it.
Thank you, Spider-Man. The floating head lady appreciates your assistance.
I think in the credits, or it may be the credits of Shy Dims, there's a point where you see Hammerhead, and he can't get used to not having the gun arms anymore, so he asks his henchman to tape like a couple of Tommy guns, like one to each hand, so he can just like still have the feeling of it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, the credits have like a lot of like funny little moments, like what happens next and so on. But as for right now, what's happening now, we're out of time. So we'll see you guys next time when we take on the first 2099 level of the game. Bye for now.